Right, this is something I've waited a little bit just before all the facts sort of came out in regards to Coutts Bank shutting down Nigel Farage's account. So Nigel Farage, NatWest boss, admits serious error in bank closure row. So basically, Nigel Farage, don't need any explanation for who he is. Coutts Bank are the very, very posh bank. That's where celebrities have their money in Coutts Bank. The royal family like banks with Coutts. I think in order to get an account with them, you need like £1,000,000 in like liquid cash and stuff like that, like just to get like a basic account, and then after that you get a bunch of levels for how minted you are. So Nigel Farage obviously was with them, and they decided that continuing to let him bank with them was not the right choice for them. They wouldn't give a reason why. They apparently released information about his account. It was a giant mess. Hopefully the article will discuss it in more detail. Just for so people don't get confused, the reason NatWest is mentioned is even though NatWest are their own bank, they actually own Coutts. You know, the same as like Ferrari also owns Volkswagen or something. I don't know about cars, but you know, the same type of thing. The boss of NatWest has admitted a serious error in talking about Nigel Farage's relationship with its private banking arm, Coutts. Basically, they turned around and gave a public statement about an account, which is a breach of the Data Protection Act. They're not allowed to. If Nigel Farage posts the information himself, it's his information, so like that's fine. It's your information, do whatever you want with it, deep fat fry it, post it publicly, blah blah blah. But the fact that the bank gave information about his account to journalists and says, oh no, this is why, blah blah blah, and here are the reasons, that was actually a breach of data protection. So yeah. Dame Alison Rose said she was wrong to respond to questions from the BBC about Mr. Farage's account being closed because, as you know, since they're your bank, they should turn around immediately and say, no, we're not discussing any information about our customers' accounts. But it turns out that if journalists give them a little phone call, they will. Yeah. The ex-UKIP leader, yep, thanks for that, Nigel. Did you really have to do it? I mean, you didn't do anything for about 4 years in the party. There's a reason that everybody else took over. You were just kind of like a shadow wandering around, still collecting your paycheck and everything like that. And then when you tried to come back onto the scene for the election, you realised that no one was really following you anymore. They were more interested in batting and brain because they were actually getting stuff done instead of just walking around being Mr. Brexit and going, my job here is done, and riding off into the sunset, but still collecting your party paycheck. And then you had to do that to us right before an election. Anyway. The ex-UKIP leader had demanded NatWest. I still have a lot of respect for Nigel, but not a lot of love for what he did. Had demanded NatWest explain how his financial information was made public as the row over his bank account closure escalated. NatWest said it still had full confidence in Dame Alison at the helm. Dame Alison's apology comes after the BBC. The BBC had to apologise as well on Monday for its inaccurate report earlier this month, which said Mr. Farage no longer met the wealth threshold for Coutts, citing a source familiar with the matter. That was the thing where you need to have like at least £1,000,000 in liquid cash flow just to have an account with them, to have like the most basic account. But it's Nigel Farage. He's definitely got a lot more than that. Mr. Farage later secured a Coutts report which indicated his political views were considered. Now, the whole thing about just build your own bank, we'll save that for the end. Dame Alison said in conversations with BBC business editor Simon Jack, believing it was public knowledge. She had confirmed that Mr. Farage was a Coutts customer and he had been offered a NatWest bank account. The NatWest boss said she did not reveal any personal financial information about Mr. Farage. In response to a general question about eligibility criteria required to bank with Coutts and NatWest, I said that guidance on both was publicly available on their websites. In doing so, I recognised that I left Mr. Jack with the impression that the decision to close Mr. Farage's accounts was solely a commercial one, she added. When Coutts decided to close Mr. Farage's account, he said it did not give him a reason. Mr. Farage subsequently obtained a document looking at his suitability as a Coutts customer. The 40-page document flagged concerns that he was xenophobic and racist, and also questioned the reputational risk of having Mr. Farage as a client. You had a look at your other clients, Coutts. There are certain people that appeared in a certain little black book. Anyway, it's said to have Mr. Farage as a customer was not consistent with Coutts' position as an inclusive organisation, given his publicly stated views, even though pretty much the entire the Conservative Party and everybody else also bank with Coates. Dame Alison said she had not been involved in the decision to close Mr. Farage's account, but Coates told her it was for commercial reasons. She said when she spoke to Mr. Jack, she had not seen the dossier obtained by Mr. Farage. Regrettable error. I was wrong to respond to any question raised by the BBC about this case. I want to extend my sincere apologies to Mr. Farage for the personal hurt this has caused him, and I have written to him today, she added. NatWest Chairman Howard Davies said Dame Alison should not have spoken in the way she did and said it was a regrettable error of judgment on her part. He said the events would be considered when it made decisions on remuneration at the appropriate time, but said she was an outstanding leader and it was in the interest of the bank's shareholders and customers that she continues in post. And that's the end of the article. So basically, it was confirmed, essentially, that it had nothing to do with him not meeting the wealth threshold or the criteria for an account. It was them just basically going, he's a racist, xenophobic bigot, and he shouldn't be able to bank with us and stuff like that. Now, stuff like that is fine. It's fine, under libertarian ideology. If a business wants to turn around and say, I don't want to do business with you, that is completely that business's right. However, in order for that to be suitable, then it should be basically there shouldn't be government regulations in place for other people to create competitive businesses, because one of the things that we're seeing in the financial world is everybody talks about banking regulations and they roll their eyes and stuff like that. Oh, no. Banks love banking regulations up to a point. But they do love banking regulations because, see, regulations that come in, that immediately prices out any and all competition that would be able to establish itself. See, the sheer amount of red tape that is required. Basically, Davy down the road can't just start a bank, right? Even Lord Davy down the road can't just start a bank, because it's not just a case of having the capital. There is so much criteria that you need to meet. See, basically, the banks we have in Britain, like right now, that's the banks we have. That's it. New banks just don't open. The only time we get new banks is when a foreign bank comes in and tries to establish itself, like Santander and stuff like that. They did that by buying up Abbey National. Jesus Christ, remember Abbey National? But basically, that's the only time you really get a new bank. When was the last time that a British-born bank just formed? I mean, it's not happened for a very, very long time. And the reason for that is there is so much red tape and so much capital required, and it's such a headache and a nightmare. It takes like a year to hear back from all these regulatory bodies to see if you pass and meet the regulations, that it's just impossible for anyone to start a bank. So that's the problem. So I'd see whenever someone goes, just start your own bank or just go to another bank down the road. Well, you can't do that currently because all of the banks are a whole financial institution. They are all politically compromised and they all believe the exact same thing. I've had issues in the past. I actually got a bit of private information. I actually got a mortgage denied. It's a bit complicated. I got a mortgage denied for reasons that they wouldn't discuss with me. However, I seen the member of staff's name that I was interacting with, and I managed to find them online. Saw some pronouns. They knew who I was. And I complained to the bank, and they said, oh yeah, there's actually no good reason for your mortgage to be denied. We're very, very sorry about that. So yeah, this is a problem. This is a problem when you are a known right-wing figure. You will have problems like that. I never go into takeaways and order food. I never do that. I get a proxy or I get it delivered under a fake name. These are genuine things you do have to worry about. Like, I've been kicked out of pubs and stuff like that just because of who I am. But that is the businesses. The businesses have every right to do that. Yes, it is their business. They get to decide who they do business with. However, that should extend to all other businesses, because I feel that businesses should be, for any reason, even if someone's like, they're ginger, I don't want to serve gingers, that's your business. You can do that if you want. But it needs to extend to all other things. You know what I mean? But basically as well, and then when it comes to, just go to another bank, you can't, because they're all politically compromised with the same ideology. And if it's a case of, just go start your own bank, well, you can't, because of the sheer amount of government regulations and red tape that are surrounding that. I mean, even when you try and start, the financial world is that dominated. Remember when Subscribestar came out, PayPal just refused to do business with them because they were supposed to be a suitable alternative to Patreon. I mean, I like Subscribestar's actually very good. They're actually very good. There's a very good website and everything, and they work out everything very well. They actually have to do all the payouts manually via the bank, though. There's actually like a group of poor bastards at Subscribestar that don't have an automatic payout system. They need to manually go in and pay it all out because all the financial institutions wouldn't work with them and all that. And that's the problem. There are no, like, competitors can't rise up because of the regulations and because the financial world will refuse to work with them. So that's why it doesn't work. Yes, businesses should absolutely be allowed to do business with whoever they want or not do business with whoever they want. But the problem is, the caveat to that is you also have to make it able where people are able to create competitors to that. However, we currently have the businesses can decide, you know, who they do business with, but you're totally priced out or locked out of making a viable alternative to that. So the way we have it right now is believe in the ideology that's compromised these institutions, or fucking live cash only for the rest of your life, which would be best and lovely, because I declare all my cash to the government, of course. I absolutely do. I mean, I do. I actually do. Because, see, when you're squeaky clean in every other area, taxes is how they get you. And I'm not going to fall for that. I'm not getting Al Caponed. So this is the problem. Believe in the ideology or you won't have a bank account. And a bank account is required for, like, life. You can't get a job. You're locked out of everything. You can't take out a contract with an electricity company or a mobile phone contract or whatever if you don't have a fucking bank account. So that's the problem. And that was, I believe, the original intention, to exclude the right wing from society. Obey or you can't take part. I mean, that's fine. Give us a bit of land. Say it's ours, and we'll take care of the rest. You can enjoy while your shit burns. But, yeah. That's just the problem we have with it. You can't... Oh, it's just not sustainable right now. But however, apparently they're going to do a thing in the government where no banks can't do that because a bank account is essential to taking part in society, which I don't believe in, because I don't like businesses being forced to do business with people they don't want to do business with. I think, yeah, whatever, if Coots want to kick Farage out because he's Nigel Farage, that's fine. Just then remove every single bit of regulation that's required to actually start a bank and let the market do the rest.